I think it's easy for me because I don't have a choice because I don't know what's going on. So if I get distracted and I look around and start playing with the fairies, I'll completely get lost. So I'm so nervous and locked in that I don't miss anything. I'll be attached at Mark's hip and I will not move anywhere from him. So because when he's going out, I'm going out. So yeah, I don't really have a choice. I have to stay focused, otherwise I'll get lost. So.
All right, we'll stay on your left with Seth and then go to Daniel.
Yeah, for you, I guess maybe more broadly, what makes a good long snapper, and then what makes Mark a good long snapper?
I think the one thing I've had, and I've had some very good long snappers in my 3 seasons that I've played, it's the obsession with the craft. All 3 of them have had that, all in their own different ways. But at some stage, with each one, they've told me something so specific in the way they go about their thing that I think to myself, you guys are crazy. And I think you need that mentality to be a specialist in general, but more specifically long snappers. It's such a particular craft, but I think it's just obsession with what you do. You can't not care about it. There's so much that goes into it, so I would say that.
We'll go to Daniel and then Joe.
You and Mark are close, it would appear, right? He's I want to say he's from like Georgia, you're from Australia. What is it that's kind of created, that type of bond between you guys?
A lot of Call of Duty. Yeah, a lot of video games. That always helps. We play Call of Duty, especially in fall camp when we got any time off. We'll sit down and play some COD, some Warzone. So as funny as that sounds, we've always been in separate lifts and separate workouts. So in the off season, we didn't really have the chance to bond, connect apart from our punch sessions, kick sessions. But yeah, ever since Call of Duty, I added him on it, and yeah, we're as close as ever. I know his shortcomings, he knows mine. So yeah, that's kind of, as funny as that sounds, it actually has built the relationship a lot. So, for being honest.
Go to Joe and then Zach B.
So it's coming to America. You've kind of been all over the country. You spent time in California, UCF. Why IU? What stood out about Bloomington and really the staff?
I think for me, knowing that there was a pipeline here through James Evans, us pro kick boys, we do what we're told when it comes to the people who send us to the places. They know best. So when they say we think that IU would be a good fit, I trust them with everything. So besides from doing what I'm told, because they really know what they're doing, I think, and I said this in the last media, I said I've always loved basketball, and IU has always been a kind of a team or a school on the radar, especially when I was getting recruited for basketball. I would have done anything to come to IU and play. I just wasn't getting recruited at that level. So that's one thing. But, I mean, the staff, Coach Kane, Coach Mack, a big part for me is I'm a little bit older. So, I'm getting old, I'm getting sore. I need better rehab and all that. And the guys here, even as far in as the nutrition staff, we have the pills and shakes, we have the supplements, all that stuff. They just go the extra mile. And I can really see a big difference in how that's helped my knees recover and my back and everything that happens when you get older. So yeah, with that, I kind of saw that when I came on my visit. And, Dio made a joke to me when I got here. When I committed, he said, I told Coach Sig you committed because of me. And I've told him this. And to be fair, it was probably he had a bigger influence than he thought. So yeah, it's the program as a whole.
We're going your right to Zach B and then to Colin.
Mark called Frankie a glue guy. What's Frankie like on and off the field?
I think Frankie is a breath of fresh air. He's a very cruisy, just goes about it, takes things as they come. A lot of us boys, I know I am, we can obsess over things and, you make one mistake at practice and it sticks with you all day. If you train bad, you have a bad day. Frankie can come out, to his credit, he hasn't had a bad day yet, but he'll come out, have a bad kick, and you wouldn't even know. You'd think he's had the best day ever. So it's refreshing to see him, to see a teammate be able to go out there, perform, and if he doesn't, he just moves on. And I think that's, we'd all like to take a leaf out of his book. So.
Staying right with Colin and then Sammy.
You mentioned obsession with the craft in regards to long snapping. Would you say you have that for punting, and if so, when did that start, and how have you seen that develop in your time in the States?
Yeah, I think for me, growing up with Australian rules football, even from a young age, I've always just wanted to, even with our sport, end of practice, I'm always out there just trying to see how far I can kick the ball. And I always had a big leg, and so as you do as you're a kid, you show off, so you show off what you can do. So I'm always, after practice, I'm just kicking balls as far as I can. So I love just, it sounds funny, but I just love kicking footballs. So for me, it's never a chore to come out and kick. It's always, how can I better myself from the day before? What can I tweak? Because you can always get better. But yeah, it's the same thing. I'm just obsessed with kicking. I enjoy seeing where I'm having issues with and cleaning it up and getting better.
We'll go on your right, second row to Sammy.
Mitch, what do you need to do to be better to get to that next level?
Translating, I always say there's 3 levels. There's punt, and I think punting especially, there's a lot of pressure on you. Cameras are on you, people looking at you, everyone's watching. It's one thing to practice, to punt in practice with a little bit of pressure. It's another thing to take it into a game and punt with 50,000 people screaming at you. I can kick big balls in practice, that's fine. I can kick big balls on my own. Being able to hit a big ball in a game under pressure is a totally different kettle of fish. So being able to take that next step, especially with spirals this year, and in a new conference, just trying to, I guess, Big Ten football is known to be a special teams or specialist league, and I know a lot of these schools are going to be bringing it. So being able to be quicker with my up times, get more hang on the ball, help my gunners. There are probably a couple of things that I need to probably try and perfect. But yeah, just being able to take it up from practice. Everyone's good in practice. It's much harder to be good in a game, and you can see that.
Anything else? If not, thanks, Mitch.
Nice.
Thanks, Mitch. Kicker Nico Radicic. We will start with Sammy and then go to Colin.
Nico, you were talking about spring, just fine-tuning your craft. How has that gone this fall, and what else do you need to do to kind of find yourself on these watch lists that you were left off of?
Yeah, the spring went very well. I don't think I missed one kick with the team, so I was very pleased with that, and I was trying to take that into the fall. I was kind of hoping that a miss was going to happen here or there, just so I can feel that, and it did happen once. So now that it did, I'm ready to just get back on that high horse and keep making kicks. And when it comes to watch lists, I'm not too worried about a preseason watch list. So once the season starts up, I'll take a look at it if I'm on there or not.
Go on your right to Colin and Zach B.
On the mental side of things, kicking is probably the most mentally taxing position on the field. How do you kind of go about that? How do you conceptualize that, whether that's on a day-to-day basis, but then when you're on the field, about to kick the ball, what's going through your head?
Yeah, I just make it a fun thing. I don't make it anything harder than it already is. I'm just there if the team needs me to knock down 3 points, and if I make it anything harder than that, I'm going to keep putting stuff in my head that I don't need, and I just make it very simple for myself and just kick the ball between the posts.
Staying right with Zach B and then go to Joe.
You didn't necessarily grow up with football. You had other sports. We talked about baseball in the spring and stuff like that. When was the first time you remember kind of watching football, taking the field? When was that? When did that happen?
First time I kicked the football, I'd say it was probably 7th grade. My boys were trying to force me to play football while I was playing soccer. And I kept saying no, and I didn't want to do it. I played for FC Dallas. I signed a contract that said I can't play school sports. And then I finally went out to a football field, and I kicked like a 45 in 7th grade, or it was some lower 40s. And they were like, you need to play football. So then I signed up for it in 8th grade, and from there it took off.
Go on your left to Joe and then to Daniel.
The guys we've talked today, you're the youngest, but also been here at IU the longest.
Right.
You see Mark come in last year, the other 2 this year. I mean, how have you tried to show them not just the ropes of maybe the culture of this team, but also just Bloomington itself?
Mark and Mitch, I don't hang out with them as much outside of football, but with Frankie, I feel like me and Frankie clicked a lot, so he comes over to my place a lot, and those younger guys as well, like Quinn and Josh and Bryce, I'm with them, kind of friends outside the building. But with Mitch and Mark, it's more like a business thing. I come here and we talk. We see what we need to do on field goal to get better on the field, and I think it translates pretty well when you look at all of our stats in game.
Standing left with Daniel, then go to Seth.
You and Brendan, why did you click? When did you click? Just how did that kind of go?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like both of us really don't care what we say. We're very open. We'll say what's on the top of our mind. And I think a lot of people aren't like that these days. So when you see a guy like that in the locker room, you kind of just want to be friends with him.
Play Call of Duty as well?
I don't play Call of Duty, but maybe some FIFA here and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go left to Seth and then to Pete.
And Nico, what would you say your range is on field goals right now? Where was it, I guess, last year? And what's that process look like for you in the offseason of trying to build that up?
Yeah, it's a very long process. I mean, you're playing with centimeters, basically, where you want to hit the ball. I'd say last year I was probably capping off in season at like 53, but then randomly against Purdue I was hitting 58 in the snow. So, and then right now I'd say I feel pretty comfortable at 55, which means I could hit it further than that, but I feel comfortable, sitting at 55, and I know I can make that kick.
We'll go left to Pete and then to Zach B.
Nico, how did you, growing up, how did you hone your accuracy? How do you maintain your accuracy? I'm assuming you don't try to kick into mailboxes or the
Not at all.
But what is the technique to get that accuracy?
Yeah, so when I started kicking, my kicking coach put me on the 20-yard line, and I wasn't allowed to move. It was just the 20-yard line, you're going to make it down the middle every single time. And I probably was stuck on that 20-yard line for months. I mean, I could say probably half a year, 6 months, I was on that 20-yard line. I'm the coach. I need to go further. Like, I'm tired of this 20-yard line. It was like, no, you're hitting 20-yard line over and over again. And got to a point where I realized that, I'm getting pretty accurate. And then when I get back to 45, when I get back to 55, it just feels like I'm on the 20-yard line, and he's right behind me watching me. So.
How old were you then?
Say it again?
How old were you at that point?
Freshman year of high school. I was probably starting up. Yep.
We'll go on your right to Zach B. Then go to Joe.
When did football officially overtake soccer for you?
It was sophomore year of high school. It was a really tough decision. Talked to my parents a lot. Talked to my coaches. My soccer coach was very mad at me that I decided to quit soccer. But I think at the end of the day, it was the smartest decision for me here in the U.S. Football is a little bit stronger than soccer here.
We'll go left to Joe, and then we'll wrap up with Sammy.
Between getting the nod to go take a kick during the game and then before you go and take your steps, do you have a routine that you have? I mean, everyone kind of saw Zane Gonzalez with his helmet in the playoffs. Do you have something like that?
Like I answered the question earlier, it's just I feel like if you overcomplicate it, a lot of things can go wrong. So I just jog out there. I probably get one swing in, just in air, and just wait for Mitch to say the cadence, and I just kick the ball and walk my butt back to the sideline.
All right, we'll finish up second row right with Sammy.
Nico, you also did onside kicks last year. What's the process of practicing those? It's a funny bounce on the ball. Do you get creative with it on how you tee it up?
Yeah.
And steps like that?
Right. It's a completely different swing than a field goal. With a field goal, you want to swing up on the ball, and with an onside, you want to really slam that ball into the ground to get a bounce. Now, sometimes you will get lucky with a bounce, and sometimes you'll get unlucky, but if you can just try to cancel out those mistakes in between and really know where you're hitting the ball and swinging down on it, I think you can get about the same result every time.
Thanks, Nico.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate y'all.
Hey,
Pete, and we'll go to Seth.
Brandon, I guess, first of all, what was it about Indiana that attracted you? What made you decide this is the best fit?
When I was on my visit here, this was the only visit that I went on. It was the only one I needed. I got here, it felt just like home, just like I was back in Nebraska hanging out. So it was a really easy decision at the end of the day when I came on my visit. Loved the coaching staff, really like an elite atmosphere. So it wasn't very hard to make this decision.
We'll stay in your left with Seth and then go to Daniel.
Yeah, just this fall camp, what have been the biggest goals for you, biggest things you're trying to work on?
Being as old as I am, 6th year of college football, just trying to stay healthy, As I get older, I have to stretch more, spend more time in the training room, stuff like that.
We'll go to Daniel and then Joe.
You played soccer in high school, right?
Absolutely.
When did you play football? How did that whole process unfold?
As a junior, about halfway through the season, I had a couple guys come up to me and more so tell me that I was going to go kick for the football team. Okay. So I was like, all right, cool. So then halfway through my junior year, I started kicking again. I had when I was way younger, but yeah.
Morningside College, 2,500 people, right? How was that experience?
It honestly felt just like I was still playing high school ball when I was there. And then obviously when I jumped up to Big Ten ball straight from that, it was a really cool, awesome experience to be able to see the passion that, although it's such a small school, how much weight it carries, being proud to be a Mustang when I was there.
So we'll stay in your left with Joe and then go to Zach B.
It's your 5th school now in college. I mean, how comfortable are you with these changes that you've made? Obviously, starting at Morningside, Big Ten, been around some Sun Belt teams as well.
Yeah, the first two were really easy because, I was real close to home. When I made that jump over to Georgia Southern, That was obviously a struggle those first 2 months when you really kind of got to get in there. But everywhere I've been, every football program I've been to, they've really made sure that I got in with like a group of guys that would be like outstanding people to be around. So everywhere I've gone, I've had outstanding support from the guys that were already on the team moving in. So really the transition was never that difficult, and I just embraced the change, you know.
Go to the right with Zach B. and then Colin.
You played goalie when you played soccer, right?
Yep.
What are the similarities between goalie and being a kicker?
Really, it kind of depends on the way that you want to, like the way you want to style yourself as a kicker. Being a soccer player and being a goalie, I basically kick every kickoff and every field goal like it's a goal kick. So it was a really easy transition for me, just naturally being able to swing like that given my soccer background.
Colin and Sammy.
With kicking being a mentally taxing position, how do you kind of deal with that and stay within yourself, in practice, taking reps, but also roaming the sidelines during games?
Really, I try to, at the end of the day, this is a game and you're supposed to have fun. So I take it as seriously as I need to make sure I'm dialed in. And, we just got to be, our coach always tells us to focus, not be concentrated, but be focused and not overthink. And that's the biggest thing, because the more you think about it, the worse it's going to go. So you just let your leg do the work and it'll all go the way it's supposed to.
We'll go to Sammy and then Daniel.
You have a touchback rate of over 80%. What goes into that? Is there a new strategy with being able to fair catch and get the ball at the 20? How do you limit returns or kicks out of bounds?
I think one of the things is just being consistent in your routine. I've gone through the years like trying to shorten up my routine, and just to find like a spot where you can consistently hit the ball 75 yards is really my goal. And so basically, it's just like there's nothing really to it. It's just some guys you can train leg speed and stuff like that. I was fortunate enough to not have to do a whole lot of that, but having a strong core is something that I would tell any young kicker to get a better ball.
We'll go Daniel on your left and then end with Zach B.
As you kind of reflect, you go from a college of 2,500 people to here. What have you learned about just you and just how you're wired in that time?
I definitely figured out that I'm not really a person who listens to the noise. Everybody's going to be like, they obviously chirp a lot more at Big Ten level than they do at NAIA. But just moving through the differences in just crowd size and whatnot, I've learned just to have thick skin. You're out there for a reason. They're in the stands for a reason. That's the way it's going to be.
All right, last one, Zach B.
In high school, when it came to deciding football or soccer, kind of what was that process and decision-making like for you?
COVID actually made it really easy for me. I didn't get a senior soccer season, which is what I was really banking on, like getting my recruitment. I didn't plan to play football until well into my senior year, which is probably why I ended up at one of those smaller schools, didn't do a whole lot of reaching out. But I wouldn't change this path I chose for anything. I still love soccer. It's still like probably one of my passions, but at the end of the day, football is life. So.
Great. Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we'll start with Sammy and then go to Colin.
Mark, it's your second year in the operation, but you do have some new pieces. How do you build that relationship to know when you go into these big environments that things will go flawlessly?
Well, today at practice we had crowd noise, so that was like one of the things that kind of simulates chaos. And you say new pieces, but I've spent a season with Frankie, and Nico's always there. And ever since Mitch got here, we've been attached to the hip. So it's another season with the boys.
We'll go on your right to Colin and then Zach B.
Mentally, what's your approach to staying focused, staying within yourself and kind of, limiting errors in the mental side of things?
Well, not thinking of it like that. You can't. So a lot of people train until they get one right. I train until I can't get one wrong. So just having a purpose every time you go out there and snapping the ball, especially like when you go through summer, that's when you chip away at your sculpture you're building every year. And then when you come to the game and to practice, that's when you don't think and you blank and you just rely on your muscle memory.
We'll go Zach B. and then Joe.
How would you describe the identity of this special teams room?
Just one word?
Just how would you in general? That was actually one word.
Well, coming off last year, we have a chip on our shoulder, so I'm going to say with that, we have a lot to prove.
We'll go on your left to Joe and then Daniel.
Been at a couple schools in Georgia before, and then IU, obviously the ACL injury back in late 22, right? I mean, what have you learned about yourself through that process, through the adversity you faced?
That you can't take a single day for granted because it could be over the next play. So just like staying within yourself and just trying to do the best you can every single time you're out there and treat it like it's your last.
We'll go Daniel and then Seth.
You and Brendan had 2023 right at
Mhm.
GSU. What did you learn about him then, and how much did you kind of help him throughout his whole process in the spring?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain Frankie because he's a glue guy. So he's always when he comes into the room, you're gonna know he's there, and he kind of takes over and does what he does, and I'm just there to witness it and appreciate it. So he's a great guy.
We'll go Seth on your left and then Pete.
Yeah, just looking back, how did you become a long snapper? Like, how is that? How do you decide that that's what you want to do out on the field? And when did you realize that you were pretty good at it?
So in middle school, and I wanted to be the punter, but they had me play long snapper. So I would go out there and purposely mess up the long snap so I could punt. And the coach was like, well, you're not doing either now. So when I got to high school, I started snapping. I played a lot of defense, didn't really play much on offense. And then I went to Kennesaw State, played outside linebacker, and just snapped on the side and eventually worked my way up and got on the bus and took it from there.
We'll go Pete, second row left.
How did you develop the accuracy of your snaps? Obviously, that's a key. I don't know how many hours you put in, or what's the process to develop and then maintain that accuracy?
So my dad built me a target, and then we went mailbox shopping at Home Depot. And I got a mailbox, and I stuck it on a post, and I would learn to snap it into that mailbox.
Into the actual...
Mm-hmm.
How big was this mailbox?
And what was the distance? How far did it vary?
14 yards.
And were you
I have a picture of it. I'll show you.
Yeah, I mean, do you have were you 100%, 80%? How accurate?
Well, I have my sheets where I would, I chart 10 a session, and sometimes I would be 80%, sometimes it'd be 90%, some days it'd be 10%, some days I would be 3%, and I would see, or 30%, and I would see why, and then just focus on the bad and focus on the good, and fix my routine and get better.
Anything else? If not, thanks, Mark.
Thank you, guys.